welcome back to this week's edition of Ask Ron, where our valued Gold Club members ask Ron questions each and every week. We've got Ron here with me today. How are you doing, Ron?
Outstanding.
Awesome. That's good to hear. This is a benefit that I want to remind you guys of for our Gold Club members. So if you are not a Gold Club member, how can they get joined, Ron?
Well, go to ronsgoldclub.com and you'll see the new Gold Club options. And you might want to take a real hard, good look at the middle one. It's $297 a month, but wait till you see what it contains, including our all-new Dreams Pro system that will literally change your life when you're trying to generate leads and also follow up and comps, and the whole thing is right there in one place. It takes the place of an employee, really. So check that out, Dreams Pro AI, and it's in the two of the three choices you have. $297 includes it. $697 includes everything plus 20 hours of VA service, and you can go up or down anytime you want. So if you're going to do business, you're going to need one of our VAs and be a member of our Gold Club, where you get your website and this new Dreams Pro system and all the other stuff that comes along with the Gold Club.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to include that link down there below too.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started then. First question this week comes from Robert Straker.
Hey, Robert.
He said, "Hey, Ron.
I wish you guys would tell us where you're from."
Well, I can tell you where Robert's from. Robert's from Oregon.
Oregon. Okay. See, that makes a difference sometimes in your questions.
All right. And his question is, "Hey, Ron, when will you be announcing your 2025 schedule?"
Actually, I just put it together to this morning. I mean, I finalized it this morning, and I can tell you I'm coming out to LA one time, but it's in mid-year sometime. I don't know. The schedule will be published shortly. I'm only doing 2 virtual events next year. All the rest of them are going to be live, and most of them are going to be here in Jacksonville. I'll be doing one in LA and one in New Jersey, I think.
Okay. And he also wanted to mention and say thank you for answering all of his questions.
You're welcome.
He said, although some may seem a little bit dumb to you, they're important to me.
There are no dumb questions. You should have seen the dumb questions when I started. He about ready to throw me out of the room with dumb questions I was asking.
All right. This one comes from Tony and Angie Stewart in Ohio.
Oh, yeah, they're always here. By the way, they were in our very first implementation Power Days a couple of weeks ago. And Tony and Angie, why don't you guys get out there and tell the world what you thought about that event? Put it on your Facebook, because everybody needs to attend it. And just so you all know, I've scheduled 6 of them next year, one every other month, where we spend 2 days with your laptop here in our room, putting together your systems, creating leads for you on your machines, teaching you how to do the ARV, and you pulling up the ARVs on your machines with everybody critiquing you, and also handling and closing calls and practice all of that a lot. It was a very, very powerful 2-day event, and we went through the Dreams Pro system to show you what kind of magic is in that thing right now, especially generating leads. It's very likely the only thing you're ever going to need to generate leads, and you don't have to hire anybody to do anything. It's all right there with a push of a button. Go check it out. DreamsPro.com, but it's also within ronsgoldclub.com as well.
From Tony and Angie Stewart in Ohio, they said, "Ron, thanks so much for that 2-day experience.
You're welcome.
We got back and went into action. We're hitting that first list that we created in class with direct mail, and also making some cold calls, and made 2 seller appointments for this weekend." He said, "Couldn't resist the cold calls."
All right, Tony. If you don't have a mentor, you need to get a mentor, man, because you need guiding through those first few deals you do. If you got appointments, you can have that mentor sitting there on the phone, answering sellers' objections if you can't. And that includes contract. You know, they must look at the contract that you're about to take out to the house. If you can, it's time for you guys to get a mentor. And I want to know the results of your 2 appointments, even if you didn't get a deal. I want to know the results of the 2 appointments. Now, they're my project now.
All right. Well, 2 quick questions from them. They said, "Why do you prefer 6x9 postcards?"
Because they pull better than 3.5 by 5 or whatever they are.
And next up, they said, "You made a list of 12,000 for Nicholas Nick to cold call."
For us, yeah.
You and Adel taught us how to make a targeted list for direct mailing.
Yeah.
What criteria did you use to make a list of 12,000?
Come on, man, you're taxing my brain. You're supposed to be taking notes on that. I really can't remember, to be honest. I know they were vacant out-of-town owners, but we put a couple of other motivation layers on top of that, and I just can't remember what they were. Vacant out-of-town owners is always a good one, and geez, I don't even remember the Dreams Pro has a whole list of types of motivated sellers that you can mail to. And what we're doing is we picked the best list that we could to get to 12,000, and then we hired Nick to make all the cold calls, because we're not going to do that. And so we're putting hiring and cold calling done along with us pulling our own list right here, which is what I like about that Dreams Pro. I don't have to have somebody else pull a list I don't know anything about. We can sit here and pull them. And this system is AI, so we're getting good information from any place in the country. So we pull a list. They expect to get about 10,000 of them out of the 12 phone numbers, because he skip traces them as well. And then I don't know how much we're going to get out of that, but I do know that he's calling what should be motivated list, and I'm really excited if we can get the results myself.
All right, next up. Is there a way to do all of this without being an active landlord?
The only way to do all of this is not be an active landlord, and that just means you haven't been trained yet. And if you were, you would know that when I put a lease option tenant buyer in the house, I don't do anything after that except have my staff collect the rent until they say they want to buy it or until they move out. They're doing all the repairs. There's no reason for them to be bothering me, or vice versa. So when I put a tenant buyer in a house, I don't ever see the house again until after they move, and sometimes not even then. So there really isn't any management to it. Just collect the rent. And keep in mind, don't confuse these tenant buyers with low-end tenants who are a pain in the neck to deal with. Sometimes you have to chase to get the rent, which I don't even do that, I used to. And when they got thousands of dollars at stake, don't remember, they got a dog in the hunt, okay? They got a lot to lose. They don't pay their rent, they're gonna lose that big old non-refundable option deposit. So there is no better tenant than a lease option tenant buyer who wants to buy the house and are giving you at least 5% of the sales price down in a non-refundable option deposit. And that's the way we do business. So difference between lease option tenant buyers and tenants is a difference between night and day. It's as big a difference between Democrats and Republicans right now. I had to put that in there.
It
was just laying right there. Yeah.
All right, next up. What's one mindset shift that changed your business?
That's a good question. Mindset started with the fact that I was working my butt off 6 days a week and could barely even get by. And I knew I didn't want to do that anymore, especially when my wife asked me if she'd buy her new washing machine, and I told her we cannot do that. And I both went to bed mad. Next morning I just woke up and frankly something snapped, and I said I'm not going to do this the rest of my life. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I started looking, and that's where I found my first real estate seminar. Attended it on March 12th, 1982, a day that will live in infamy, at least for me. And the difference between me and most everybody else in the room is that when I attended that first 2-hour event, then it put me into a 2-day event. I had, of course, raise money to go to that, which I didn't have, but I did. I borrowed it. And that 2-day event changed my thinking, period, because I was convinced this stuff is real. It's not a scam. It works here. It works everywhere. And even then, I went out and started looking for junkers and got my first property under contract. And 3 weeks later, I had a $3,000 check in my pocket, and that was the beginning for me. So what triggered me to make the move is I just got tired of being broke all the time. That's about it. And plus, having to work my butt off basically for somebody else. I was managing a service station, but all that means is I had to work twice as hard as the rest of the employees in the station and be responsible for everything. So I was looking, like a lot of people are out there looking right now. And I hope they find real estate, because there's no business like this one. Only business I know of, we can have an extremely small overhead and get great big checks, $20,000, $30,000 at a time. In other words, we're in a high transaction business with a very low overhead. And I'm telling you, it's served me well, and it served so many thousands of my clients as well.
All right, next up. What are some red flags to look for when analyzing properties?
Wow. Well, number one, if you're buying a junker, you better learn what you can pay and what you can't pay, or you're going to learn it the hard way. Better learn how to estimate the repairs quickly, even though you're always going to be wrong. And then you got to learn how to get the right ARV, which is one of the things we covered in our 2-day implementation boot camp, because it's so important. So many people using the wrong ARV and losing deals because of it, or buying deals they shouldn't have been buying. There's 2 key ingredients to what we do. Number one is generating leads. Number 2 is handling closing call. When you can conquer those 2, which aren't hard to conquer, especially with this new Dreams Pro system, oh my goodness gracious, wait till you see what that thing will do. In fact, keep on the lookout. We're going to be doing some training on that in the very near future, and inviting everybody that wants to get on. As far as the pretty houses go, it's got to generate leads as well, and you got to. That's where you're going to handle the closing call. You really don't have much of a closing call if you're buying a junker. You know, what's the least you could take if I paid you all cash? Is that the best you can do? That's about the end of your conversation. But in the pretty house business, we have scripts, and we find out very quickly if they're interested in terms deals or not. If they're not, then we usually just move on to the next one. And in fact, I just bought one last week that Adel found. In fact, I think he found that thing with a cold call, I believe, to a motivated list. And listen, I bought a house worth $525,000. Especially listen to this if you're looking for a place to live. $525 grand in a beautiful neighborhood, excellent condition. She owed $440 on it. I bought it for she owed $335 on it. I bought it for $440, which is the price she wanted. $440, nothing down. I'm making a monthly payment of about $2,500 a month, and I got a 5-year balloon. It's the best I could get out of her. So think about it. If I wanted to move into that house, I could move into that house. I didn't go to any bank. Nobody pulled my credit report. I didn't put any money up. Well, I did. I put $5 grand up for closing costs, and that's it. So I'm going to put a tenant buyer in that house. I expect to get $50,000 down and probably $500 a month positive cash flow, and let nature take its course. In other words, I'm setting up that golden goose to keep on generating revenue. Plus, don't forget, I get depreciation, appreciation, debt pay down, any forfeited deposits if they don't buy, and monthly cash flow. All of that on one deal. All right, you don't need very many of them, and you're financially independent, especially when you learn how to do them income tax free.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you, Ron.
All right, guys. Oh, one thing now. We're doing a Fast Track to Wealth seminar on November the 7th and November the 8th. It's free. First day, I'm going to go through how we do all these deals. By the way, it's 11 to 3, 11 Eastern Standard Time, make said note, if you haven't registered yet. And on the second day, Adel's going to teach people how to use the Dreams system, and that's going to blow you away. Man, I wish I'd had this when I started. Again, it very well may be the only thing you need to generate leads. I want you to do more than that, but the days of spending a gob of money to generate leads, I think, are coming to a close, because we've learned to target the best targeted market there is out there by using this AI and mailing out a handful of pieces, small numbers of mailing, instead of mailing out 1,000 pieces of mail to get 2 people to call you. Worth your time. Anyway, both of them are free. So if you haven't registered for that yet, get a hold of us and register. I don't know, just call our office, 800-567-6128, and tell them you want to register, unless you get an email where you can register online. In addition to that, I'm doing a quick start school in November here in Jacksonville, starting what day?
That one starts the
20th?
22nd. No, 19th.
19th, right. And this is the only boot camp that I'm ever going to do a 1-day bus trip. We're going to spend a half a day on the bus, actually going out and looking at ugly houses here, which I haven't done since pre-COVID, well pre-COVID. So that's a one-time only shot, and it's going fast. That's big enough now we had to get it out of our office, and we're going to be doing it at Sheraton Hotel down the street. So if you're interested in that, better get on the ball and get registered. And of course, you're invited if you're a repeat as well. So check that out. Also, you can call the office. Ask them about that when you call to get the Fast Track registered. 800-567-6128. Okay, am I missing anything?
I just want to add too. I'll put the link to register for the Fast Track event in
Okay.
the description below.
All right.
So if you guys want to do that, feel free to, or feel free to give us a call.
All right.
All right.
See you next week.
Thanks, Ron.